that was the end, but no, when you have God-sized dreams, it just doesn't end like that. He went on, of course, to become a great dream teller for all, including the Pharaoh, and in fact, when a famine was coming, he helped them prepare for that. When his brothers, not so prepared, ended up in a situation where they were starving and overwhelmed, but Joseph, the God dreamer, did not treat them in such a way by sending them off the way that he had been treated. No, he treated them with grace and mercy and love, a great message for all of us. Another Old Testament character, King Solomon. It was in a dream that God gave Solomon the famous offer. Ask what you wish me to give you. And do you remember what Solomon asked for? Wisdom. A wisdom that would lead him into difficult situations, like two women who were claiming one child for themselves, and lots of different situations where a godly wisdom was needed. It made people uncomfortable. Samuel, throughout his life, God spoke to Samuel in dreams, even telling his boss Eli that his sons were corrupt, a message that perhaps you wouldn't want to share with your boss. We talked before Christmas about Zechariah, Joseph. Both had dreams that would put them in situations where they would have to make it through an uncomfortable life. Peter dreamed about a way of being that challenged kosher laws. Paul dreamed over and over again about a call to carry the good news out, far beyond the places that the disciples felt comfortable. Yes, throughout the Bible, we see God working in dreams through prophets and people who are called to challenge a system. You know, personally, I believe that God has not stopped speaking in dreams. I think that God continues to speak in dreams. Just because the canon is closed or the Bible is in order doesn't mean that God has stopped speaking. No, we learned about that last week because God spoke to a guy named Francis, who would become Saint Francis, a man who would go on to challenge the Catholic Church and create an order that now, some centuries later, continue to care for the poor. You know, the founding fathers, Jefferson and Adams, well, they were encouraged by those around them to stay aligned with England, but no, God gave them dreams and ideas that would move into the words of the Declaration of Independence, and we are all the different for it. You know, Einstein as well. Einstein was told by his contemporaries they thought he was kind of crazy. But from the time he was a little boy, he had dreams, and those dreams would turn into his theory for relativity. Gandhi once said, "I am indeed a practical dreamer. My dreams are not airy things. I want to convert my dreams into realities as far as possible." We know that Gandhi was a leader who would lead India to independence against the British rule. And then, of course, that leads us to the dream that we remember tomorrow, the dream of Martin Luther King, a man who on the march in Washington said, and I want to encourage all of us to not only listen to this after you leave here today, but find a transcript of it and read it, a man who said, "I say to you, my friends, even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. Yes, I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. I have a dream of a level playing field. He dreamed of the day when racial justice and equality would rule the land. So today we don't only remember Martin Luther King, the dreamer, no, we remember the dream itself. As I look back at Martin's dream, one would think that after these 50-plus years that the I Have the Dream speech would be realized, that we could check that one off. A time when our racial divisions were transforming us to a nation where we had already been transformed into this level playing field. Excuse me. Here's my soapbox. I'm getting on it now. But dear friends, we have miles to go. We have miles to go. You know, just this summer, Stanford put out a report that in 3 areas, housing, employment, and health, white people still have much, much more than Hispanic, our black and Hispanic brothers and sisters. In fact, 71% of us own homes, white people. 41% of black people own their own home, and 45% of Hispanics own their own homes. Roughly 1 in 6 black and Hispanic households spend more than 50% of their incomes on housing, leaving them with fewer resources to devote to their children's education, to health care, and to just basic needs for life. The persisting earnings gap has become much more difficult for African Americans and Hispanics to catch up. In 2010, the median earning for black males was 32% lower than the median earnings for their white counterparts. The earning gap between white and Hispanic men grew from 29 to 42% between 1970 and 2010. The earnings between black and white males has narrowed only 7 percentage points in 40 years. Now, with all that bad news, there is just a little bit of good news. Performance in academia is actually growing and improving among black and Hispanic students, which is attributed to early education initiatives, which of course in the new plan are kind of being challenged because, God darn it, they just cost too much. It's interesting when you hear a lot about dreamers. You hear a lot about dreamers, in fact, in the news today. Have you been listening? Oh, lots of talk about dreamers. But I have to say, these dreamers are not challenging systems with their powerful dreams and strong ideas for an independent, bold future. No, these young dreamers are left with absolute concern about being deported to countries that they've never even been to. Do you know most dreamers do not know the native language of the country their parents came from? Most of them? Yes, we are not looking to our young dreamers for a direction to a future. Instead, we are creating a hostile environment where people are being ostracized. Do you know, even in my own family, where I have nieces and nephews who are Irish and Hispanic, all born and raised in Illinois by my brother, a U.S. citizen, and his wife, a Hispanic U.S. citizen. These nieces and nephews of mine have been told on a regular basis, dreamers, go home. They've even been asked about their passports. They've been asked to see their passports, and guess what? My nieces and nephews can't afford a passport, so they don't have them. If you want to go ahead and help them out with that, I'd be happy to let you do that. But people are challenging my young nieces and nephews who grew up in Illinois and being told to go home. Oh yes, I would like to preach today that, Martin, your God-sized dream has been realized, but we have miles to go. Yes, we have miles to go. I do believe that God gives us dreams every day, but oftentimes we don't take the time to articulate those dreams or even listen to those dreams. We're too busy. We're too busy with CNN and our news feed and Fox and whatever else it is, Facebook or whatever else it is that has you down here. You're too busy to pay attention with what's coming from what you do not see. Yes, I do believe that God has dreams that need to be realized today. This past week, thinking about this message, I decided to take some time to think about, well, what is indeed the dream that God's given me? And it is interesting to me that I had an opportunity last Friday and this Friday to spend time with my nieces and nephews, amazing people. And that, my friends, reminds me that God has given me a voice, and God has given me a dream, and God has made that dream real with names and faces and people. So today I share with you my dream. I have a dream that we will live in a nation that comes to the realization that there is not only enough, but there is more than enough. There is more than enough for those who are here. There is more than enough for those who will be called here. There is more than enough because we are truly called to be the nation of the free and the brave, where all people have the same rights and responsibility. I have a dream that we are a nation that has found a way and is looked to because we found a way to create a level playing field for all of God's children, a place where the color of your skin has no impact on your ability to get an education, to earn a living, or to have a home, a place to call your own. I have a dream that someday health care will not be designed about my ability to pay, and let me go on record as saying today that I am willing, right here today, to give up my cable TV in my hospital room, to give up my room service, to give up my specialist, to give up my special tests just in case, because my doctor doesn't want to be sued, so that all children in this nation can have health care and can be loved and cared for. I, for one, am ready to do this, because that's what happens when you level the playing field. I have a God-sized dream, my friends, that someday women and men can work together. Heck, not only women and men, but what about gay people and straight people and conservative people and liberal people and black people and white people and Asian people and Hispanic people and short people and tall people? I have a dream that perhaps we can all work together in workplaces where we need not proclaim things like Me Too or Time's Up or are fearful to say nothing at all, because we recognize that we are all equal. That nobody has more of the pie than the other. I have a dream that, in fact, that this nation could actually live that way if white people like us start to recognize that the playing field is not level yet. I have a God-sized dream that someday soon children will know that they are loved and that they are cared for no matter what. And when they encounter adults in a society, they are not fearful. No, they are not fearful. That they are reminded that they are wonderfully made and that God has a divine purpose for them, and we are all called to take care of them. That's the dream I have. I have a dream that someday we will stop trying to solve problems with violence and come to see that a weapon is never the answer to a question. I have a dream that someday we will see that until we find a place to call home, then we are all homeless. I have a dream that until we have enough to eat, then we are all hungry. I have a dream that someday Jesus will say to me, "Hey, you clothed me. Hey, you fed me. Hey, you cared for me. Hey, you visited me in prison. Hey, you loved me without condition. Job well done. Come on in." Now, I know that there are those who are here today rolling their eyes and suggesting I sit down because you already know this. You already know this. We already know this. We've known this for 50 years, so sit down, sit down. I'm not sitting down. Sorry. I'm wondering, are we listening? White, middle-class Americans, are we listening? Are we fearful or are we loving? Are we listening for that still small voice of God that is still and always speaking to the likes of you and me? Are we listening, or do we claim that there are no problems, closing our ears? Are we listening? Is the church listening? Are the preachers preaching? Is the garden, largely made up of Christians, listening? In some ways, I don't know that we are. Because some of you came here today not to hear about the problems, but to leave here feeling a little better. You came here today because you believe that God has great possibilities for your life, and I am here to say that not only has God got great possibilities for your life, but that God has great possibilities for everyone's life. And until you start talking about it, we're not going to make it happen. You came here today so you would feel a little better before you went on to Costco or Starbucks or breakfast or Keystone at the Crossing or whatever else it is that you have to do. You came here to check something off the list, but I'm sorry, if we can just take a little bit of time to listen to God, what will God do through the likes of you and me? I think Martin's biggest problem is that the white people believe in what he's saying, but we're not moving much on it. Because we're still pretty gall-darn comfortable. So friends who I am annoying right now, I get it, but are you listening? Not to me. Are you listening? Not to your news people. Are you listening for that still small voice of God who wants to use you in powerful and amazing ways? Now, it's true, we're not all Martin Luther King. We're not all called to put our literal life on the line for this. But any one of us who proclaim the title Christian, any one of us who find ourselves in a place where we can see the power of possibility, have a God-sized dream. We're just not listening. So today, I'm just simply asking you, listen. Every day, listen, because God is still speaking. I believe God uses dreamers and dreams to do great things. I believe that God uses people like us to make a difference in the world. I believe God uses dreamers who, in the words of George Bernard Shaw, refuse to look at things as they are and ask why, but dream of things that never were and ask why not. Do you have a dream? Whatever your God-given dream is, I have to tell you, well, it's not always comfortable. And there are people who will not make you feel good about yourself or compliment you because you have a dream of a level playing field. There will people who will claim that you're getting political or will claim that this is just not my thing, but it's all our thing because the playing field is not level. So keep in mind, most dreamers face hardships and frustrations and disappointments. It comes with the territory of being a dreamer. Dreamers look around. They threaten the status quo. Dreamers tend to turn things upside down. Dreamers are dangerous, dangerous people in the eyes of many. But let me tell you, dreamers, like Joseph, Solomon, Samuel, Zechariah, Joseph, Peter, Paul, John, and that guy Jesus. It's not easy to be a dreamer and live into those dreams, but when we do so, we not only have life, but we have a rich life here and beyond here. People dislike dreamers. You just have to get used to it. Because those dreamers call us out of our comfortable places, our traditions, and they challenge our thinking, and they convict us into doing something more for the love of God. Listen. God is calling you, dreamer, to do something this week. Just a little something. God is calling you to bring hope, grace, and mercy into this world, not someone else, you. God wants to use us to bring goodness into this world. Guess what? The time, not 50 years ago, not 5 years out, but right now. The time is right now. Because right now is the most important, crucial period in your life. People dislike dreamers. You just have to get used to it. because those dreamers call us out of our comfortable places, our traditions, and they challenge our thinking, and they convict us into doing something more for the love of God. Listen. God is calling you, dreamer, to do something this week. Just a little something. God is calling you to bring hope, grace, and mercy into this world, not someone else, you. God wants to use us to bring goodness into this world. Guess what? The time, not 50 years ago, not 5 years out, but right now. The time is right now. Because right now is the most important, crucial period in your life.